Hi, Henk Hakkelmans here, Supply Network Dynamics Chapter 13, clip number 3, Business Tsunami and the Management Cycle. So this is what I call the management cycle, and I call it a sluggish cycle because typically it's not fast enough. First, there is when a business tsunami is about to happen or has just happened. First, it takes management a long time to figure out that it actually has happened and that this is indeed a business tsunami, a big thing that will hit the business hard and may even end the life as we know it. That's the sense-making phase. Once it's clear that this is indeed a major problem, then there's the decision-making phase. How can you get all the different parties in the supply network together to come at some sensible actions you could take? And then there's the implementation phase. So once you know what to do, then actually how quick can you do this? In several examples we've seen that can take years. And finally, to close the loop, there's the learning phase. How can you learn from what has happened and as a result of that become better at sense-making, decision-making, implementation next time around? Now let's look at 4 of our cases in this perspective of how quickly management figured out what was wrong, sense-making, decided what to do, implemented things and learned from them. I here have an example of CISCO as an example for the demand bubble tsunami, but actually ASML, will do that later, is the same example. So this is CISCO, another one of the high-tech and stock market darlings in around 2000. Year after year, very good investment results. This is the share price, and then also bang, they went down. Here are some quotes. CISCO, bought, strong growth continued, and at top of the forecast. So no tsunami here. Well, yes, perhaps, because all of a sudden there are steep job cuts and a charge, bigger problems and even bigger problems there. Somewhere around here, problems began to mount, and they had to do with the impending decline of the sudden decline, the burst of the telecom or .com bubble, which CISCO didn't see coming. And as a result of that, found it very hard to correct. So the sense-making phase is somewhere around here. The decision-making phase seems to be pretty concentrated. The implementation phase, thanks also to the highly flexible American job market system, 6 months severance, that may be a good offer in the USA. It's almost impossible to get that done in our European context. And some 2 or 3 years later, somewhere in September 2002, there is again an increase there. If you take ASML, the case we've looked at, so in '99 there was the upswing in the industry. The book-to-bill ratio, you could have seen it somewhere in 2000. The mid was rapidly declining. And the decline started somewhere already around the beginning of 2000 and steadily went on. So you could see the writings on the wall, and indeed in the Philips Semiconductor case we saw the writings on the wall in September 2000. But it took ASML management quite some time to figure out that the world has changed. In January there was all sorts of good news still. This is the quote by the CEO, Mr. Doug Dunn. In January, a few customers have asked us to delay shipments, but actually we still have more demand than we can fulfill this year. And then all of a sudden, in March, the chips are down. ASML has to lower its forecast and half year loss, and then they have to cut jobs. So the sense-making phase is somewhere between 2000, the middle of 2000, and the first quarter of 2001. 3 quarters of a year almost to see that the party is over. After the wonderful period of the first and the second quarter of 2000. The decision-making phase also lasts something like a quarter, I suppose. But at least the implementation phase of firing people is then between if that is the end of 2001, well, at least 1 year ago, earlier, the problems could have seen come. The management could have seen the problems coming, and if they had reacted at that time, the impact would have been a lot less. Because don't forget, 1,400 jobs here for a company that makes only 3 or 4% of the total product means 20-25 times that number for the entire supply network. So again, a rather sluggish cycle here at ASML. Take KPN, our Quality Cascade cycle. In 2005, the strategic decision to move into a voice over internet protocol. At the beginning already in 2005, a swamp of the order fulfillment service supply chain. But still very positive emotions and reports in September, and then in October a fast-growing pipeline and major calamity on the national TV with lots of lots of complaints in the first half of 2007, and even a total stop by top management on promotion and sales. And back in gradual recovery towards the end of 2007. So again, a long time to figure out that there was really a problem. The sense making, the decision making, somewhere in 3 or 4 months. Then an implementation phase of totally stopping and improving the situation of another 6 months or so. And the learning took several years, but has happened, as we'll see later on. The schedule pressure tsunami, the A380 program launched in 2001. First schedule delays internally visible in the middle of 2004. In 2005, the first A380 is shown to the public. But then it's clear that they can make one, but they can't make a whole series. So 1 year later, then the first internal delay visibility, the external delay has the external visibility of delays. More delays with a big impact there, yet 2 years later, and with a massive drop in shares and the top officials who stepped down, and even more delays, and then in fact the order cancellations, and towards the end the firing of staff. Here again, between the moment that the scheduled delays were internally visible and the moment that everyone could see them is at least 1 year, that everyone understood that it was a really big problem was 2 years, and then the activities then, rather sudden, of course, the stepping down of officials, and actually firing of staff takes place even longer. This is March 2007. So again, a rather sluggish cycle. And there you go. The last one, the relationship spiral tsunami, as experienced by KPN and Atos. If you just look at the first phase, KPN very much in the red in 2001 after dot-com bubble burst. Sorry for the Dutch, it says KPN at its lowest share price ever. KPN sends home thousands of employees. KPN a record loss. And then in 2001, several of the IT facilities are sold from KPN to Atos Origin between July 2001 and August 2002. A massive drop in IT budgets around this time, that is the KPN IT budgets, and therefore much less income for Atos, or at least much less work for Atos. But still a revenue guarantee there that creates a friction and that creates high irritation, and the client satisfaction drops to 4.9, and the relationship is in crisis in October 2003. Again here, quite some time before it was clear at the top of the company that there was really a big problem, so the sense making took some time, the decision making took time. And if you talk about fixing the problem, that's even after this. This is the collaborative KPI approach with CPO Willem van Oppen that took place from October 2003 to, 1 or 2 years afterwards. So again, a rather sluggish cycle here.